Over 1 year ago, I started Ruby Hollow, a cozy Let's Play world with lore built into the episodes, and we built up this cherry grove kingdom in 1,500 days. Now that we're bringing this world to an end, I thought I could do a tour of everything I've built in this magical cherry grove. We'll start over here and do the tour roughly in order of builds so that we can kind of talk about the little bits of lore as we go. It's not much, it's just kind of light lore, but this is what started it all. I found this book here which I secretly placed, it's not a mod, and we learned from it that this place is called Ruby Hollow and we decided to set up here. So that is what we did. If we come over here and up the stairs, we began with a humble starter house. So here we are, this was our episode 1 starter house. It's got our bedroom on this side and an enchanting setup on this side, and we had storage down the bottom, but this is kind of the vibe. Also, this is mostly a vanilla world, but we did have a paintings texture pack and we did have these little fun mob heads. But if we come across this little bridge here, we've got our enchanting setup. And if we come down the trapdoor here, we have our initial storage. Then for episode 2, we went back to the book in Lecton, and whoever was writing in it was encouraging us to get citizens to move into Ruby Hollow. And the way to do this was to entice them with housing and jobs, so we built this farmer's house. And behind it, we also built an animal pen for some farmers to tend to some cows. And then once this was all built, what do you know, some farmers moved in. And apparently an iron golem, and everybody's very bouncy here. But this is our OG farmer Quinta behind the counter here, and we set it up as though this is a little shop of everything she sells, and then downstairs is her bedroom, or rather all the farmers' bedrooms. Oh, and we also have this texture pack. So this is a ruby, and it's really just an emerald but retextured. So of course that means that when we trade with villagers, they do all trade in rubies, hence the name Ruby Hollow. Oh, also, we got a camel this episode because 1.20 was brand new and camels were brand new. I have completely forgotten what your name is though. I'm so sorry. For our next location, I wanted to go to the Nether, so it's time to fly over to our portal. This is nothing super exciting, but it is on a cute little island which was originally a flower forest island, which I think is adorable. And we kind of added some extra flowers and planted some cherry grove trees and decorated all around it with these flowers a little later in the series. So that is our nether portal. We also later added these little docks so that we can get to and from it in boats. I definitely did not get around to decorating that area. That's kind of more on the outskirts of Ruby Hollow. But I didn't want anything coming through the nether portal and getting to our new citizens. But back up in this area, we have a blacksmith, which we made over here. But the blacksmith was another build to attract citizens, and that is what it did. So we should have 2 or 3 villagers in here. And Angus sells diamond tools, and the other one sells diamond armor. So, Ginny, that's your name. These 2 were very useful to trade with. But coming out of the blacksmiths, we ended up pathing quite far away. We're skipping over this and this for now. But next up, if we go to the very outskirts of Ruby Hollow, we end up at our sniffer sanctuary, which was another mob that was brand new to the game. We've got our little sniffer pots at the entrance. And here are our sniffer boys. There's 4 of them. We've got this little area for growing their crops and some shelter for them in here. I think this is also like food storage. Yeah. Not that they actually eat hay, but we can pretend. I think we named 2 of them. The original parents are Pickle and Poppy, chosen by you guys, I believe. From the Sniffer Sanctuary, if we fly back into the heart of Ruby Hollow, we can see what we did in episode 6. So I might go into free cam to get a good bird's eye view of it, but we made this lake. This was originally not here at all. What we did have is this little waterfall coming out of the side, but I ended up turning this all into a lake, basically because it was in this kind of shape where it goes down into a little valley, and this was a sunflower plains, which meant the grass color was a bit different, and I did want to focus on Ruby Hollow being in a cherry grove, not so much in a sunflower plains. And of course, none of these buildings were here at the time, but I did have the idea to build buildings all around the lake. And we did start with this little one down here, this little cave. There's a view of it from over here. It's kind of like a hobbit hole with just a balcony in front of it, I guess. But this point in the series is where we introduced the occasional modded villager profession. So we went and had a look at the mysterious book in Lecton, and it said that there's some types of citizens that we may not know of yet. And it said that if we build a dark and magical cave, then we might have one move in. And so we did. I forgot what this guy is called. He sells kind of magical things, so I guess he's some kind of like mage or alchemist. But we got a lot of candles and amethyst crystals off of him. And I made the floor into kind of like a little geode. But after completing our magical cave and lake, the next episode I really wanted to work on a lakeside building. So we have the fisherman's house. Let's just swim over there. So coming off of it, we have these docks, and I did make sure to make the lake deep enough so that we can actually go fishing. I'm pretty sure it needs to be, is it 4x4 or 5x5 to get treasure, but this area definitely fits that. And if we come inside, we have two little fisherman dudes. We have Giannis, and actually this one never became a fisherman, but they've got their little work area and their sleep area. And then for the next episode, we were honestly just desperate for an XP farm, so that is what I did over here. So this is kind of between our starter house and the farmer's house from earlier. We've got this little path branching off, and it says Skeleton Temple on this little gazebo, and we've got a water elevator that goes up and down, so we can go down here. And I actually love this XP farm. I think it's my favorite one I've ever made. I was inspired by jungle temples and lush caves to make this lush temple for it. And I just think it turned out really nice. So we've got our water elevators up there, and the area where we kill skeletons, obviously right here. And then the actual spawner is just up there. So that is our main XP farm that we use. And after building that, we had another practical task to do. We really needed to upgrade our storage. So we built this mountainside storage room. So we go into the storage room through here. I had it so much fun making this, and I think this is also my favorite storage room that I've ever made because it has this lovely view out here, and it just feels so cozy in the side of the mountain. And then I made everything pink, white, and magenta. So I just think it turned out so cute. We've got so many cute decorations. There's also an upstairs, which we didn't really end up needing, but nevertheless it is very cute. It's kind of a little mezzanine type level. But coming back out of our storage room, after finishing that, we went back to the book in Lecton and found out what we needed to build next. And the book said that we should build a greenhouse of flowers for another new type of citizen. So we built this florist greenhouse all out of cherry wood. And then once we were done with it, we had a florist move in. Hello, where's the florist? Over here. So this is our florist Hamilton, and they live in here with their nitwit sibling. Then after building this greenhouse for episode 11, I decided I really wanted to know who was writing to us in the book. So I went around quizzing all of our villagers on it, and one of them told us that a cartographer might know more about these lands than they do. So we needed to build a house for a cartographer to come live in so we could ask them who might be writing in the book. I kind of love our cartographer's house. I really like the jungle wood mixed in with the cherry. And this house is pretty small, but it's made up of a lot of different little rooms. And so we have a map room of Ruby Hollow. I actually forgot this existed, which is actually so cool because it's missing a ton of stuff that we have on it now. I kind of want to update it, but I also kind of like that it's a picture of what it looked like at this time. The house also has this upstairs area where I made a tunnel going right through to the other side of the mountain. And when it came Halloween, we got this skeleton pumpkin guy in a boat. Ow. But this was just kind of a quicker way to get to the side of the mountain, especially since we didn't have wings yet. But if we come in here, we've got this room, and then it all comes down into the cartographer's little working area. So this guy moved in, and he told us that he didn't know who might be writing in the Ruby Hollow book. But he gave us a map to a woodland mansion and said there was a wizard in it, and if we found the wizard, maybe he'd know. So that is when we went off and defeated a woodland mansion and found the wizard, who we actually used an evoker for that. And we built the wizard this inn to come and stay at. So the evoker, aka the wizard, came to stay at the Ruby Hollow Inn and do some investigating for us. So this is room 1 of the inn. And unfortunately, to get him cooperating, we did have to use a command. So off camera, I summoned this guy in with no AI. So he makes a much better wizard than if he was attacking us. But I'm pretty sure other than this guy, I wasn't using commands. I did want to make this a real survival let's play. It was around this time I managed to go to the dragon and get our wings. And the wizard helped us find where to look to find the author of the book. So this lectern was on top of this trapdoor. Oh, and I have a little block in here to stop the Allays getting out. But it turned out Ruby Hollow had its own variant of Pink Allay, and the Pink Allay wanted me to go get all of the others, who used to live here a long time ago. So I went on a big adventure and rounded up all of these Pink Allays. And now they all live in this mountainside. And that was mostly the last bit of lore for this world, where the Allays told us a bit more about Ruby Hollow. And from there we were mostly focused on building whatever we wanted, starting with this windmill, which I had this idea to make this part kind of like a big cherry blossom flower. But then if we go inside, it is where our sugarcane farm is. So that is down here below ground. Then if we go upstairs in the windmill, we just kind of have random rooms. And now we move on to our biggest build of the series, but also maybe of anything. That is this palace here. This episode with this build, it took me 2 weeks to make instead of my usual 1 week, but it was totally worth it. I love the block palette and how it all came out. But this is a palace for my librarian villagers. So this is the main area. We've got our receptionist Rita. And then if we go off to our left, we have all of our librarian villagers that we needed. The rest of the palace we can have a look around, but it is basically just decorative. There's not a lot else going on. We've got this big balcony out here. Then we can go through into this room and down. And this staircase leads to the villagers' kind of sleeping quarters. And then back upstairs again, we've got this random little room, which is kind of like a studying room. I'm pretty sure at this point we also hit 1,000 days in Minecraft. But next, because I was using a fair bit of purple, you can see it in the roof of this building behind me. We had a purple area just ugly growing at the back of Ruby Hollow, so I decided to make an actual cute farm for it. So we are back over by our starter house, and if we come under here and turn to the left, this is our purple farm. Or rather, I always call it that, but it's more of a chorus fruit farm to make purple with. But we have this area of it all growing underneath us, and I chose to display the egg and dragon head here as well. And some other end things. We've got a bottle of dragon's breath and is it the eye? Yes, the eye armatrim. But very on theme, Endermen seem to really like this building as well. So they'd be placing blocks, but the entrance to this is just down here. And we've just got a modest amount of chorus fruit growing. Then after setting that up, I decided to make a beacon out of rubies, which basically means it's an emerald beacon because we have a ruby texture pack on, but I made it up over here. So this is our ruby beacon. It's just blocks of emeralds, but they're retextured as rubies. And I wanted it to still look like a beacon, but also look quite overgrown. So this is what we ended up with. In the same episode, we came back to the mountains area and built a creeper farm, which is this building over here. So if we come up along here, this leads straight to the area where the creepers fall. And let's see how it's doing. It doesn't overperform, but it is an AFK farm, which is handy, and it has been enough gunpowder for just me. So it's fine, it works. In the next episode, I decided to make 2 cool mining areas. So first we have this section, and let me just free cam. This is not a real mining area because it's up in the mountains, but we had this overhang just naturally here. So it was already kind of like a little cave, and I wanted to build into it. So I thought something like this would be perfect for here, and we added a couple of stonemasons as well. And we've just got all these piles of ores and amethysts around, and they also have a little back bedroom in here with yet another stonemason who we don't really have a use for. Also, fun little extra touch, this bedroom goes straight through to the other side of the mountain, and it gets the best sunsets. But then if we come back out here and down, the other mining area is our more practical mines entrance. And that is over here, this a big hole here. This hole was another natural occurrence. It was just kind of here, but it did not look pretty or lush. It was just a bunch of stone, and then there was a bunch of lava at the bottom as well. So we cleared all that up and turned it into kind of like a lush cave with a bunch of moss, and we put an amethyst geode in. And then we have these platforms that we can walk around, but I really enjoyed doing these two little mining areas. So there's a hole right here that leads down to our strip mine. And I won't go down there because it's not exciting. It is literally just a strip mine. That is it. So with our two mining areas done for episode 21, I wanted to make a biggish building up here. So we ended up with this, which if you can't tell from the picture on the front, this is a goat house. But it's not just any goat house, it is a screaming goat house. So this is the inside. It's very loud in here, and if I stop moving, the goats immediately headbutt me. So I don't love being in here. Let's leave. Next, we ended up building this cute little potion house, and I had a go at automating potions as well. We have Nagi in here, our cleric villager, and we have this automatic potion setup where we can get a fire resistance potions from. There's also this little upstairs, which is Nagi's little bedroom. For episode 23, past the potions house, we went back down to this little lake area where we have our nether portal. And we basically just made these docks that go around the side of the island, and we made a little cave so that if we hop in a boat and row over to the cave, there's a water elevator that can take us up to the top of the hill and back into Ruby Hollow. But here is the cave. It's kind of like a piratey but Fairycore kind of vibe, and we had this modded diver villager move in here. Then if we go up the water elevator, we end up in this little safe house. So the idea was if we come out of the nether, we can go straight here and sleep. It's just like a little cottage from the front. But after working on this area a little bit, I wanted to keep going. So we ended up making these flowers, which we have 3 of them dotted around. And then I made this cherry blossom ship we have here, which I really like how it came out. It was just purely decorative, something to kind of fill the lake with, but I wanted to make the masts out of cherry blossom leaves. It also has a little interior down here, which is basically just beds. Next, we're coming up to our final 3 builds of this series. So 2 of them are over here, kind of on the edge of Ruby Hollow. And this one is our pottery museum. This museum always has spider sounds for some reason. I think we must have accidentally made a spider farm down here. But other than that, it's a very nice spot with all of the pottery sherds from 1.20 on it. I think there might be more now in 1.21, but at the time we went around and collected every single pottery sherd and labelled them all, along with where they came from. So we've got this lovely little collection in this little glass-roofed museum. I also really like the view when we kind of come towards it between all of these trees here. I think it looks very pretty. But if we go past the pottery museum, we have our next build, which is our horse ranch. And my reason for making this was mostly that there were a lot of horses around Ruby Hollow, just in the wild ever since day 1. So we've got 3 loose in the pen right now, and then there's 4 over here as well. And we gave them all different coloured armour and named them after gemstones. So we've got our little stables area, there's more of a barn on this side, and then this outdoor area with the hurdles. And that brings us to our final build. I did not know this was going to be our final build though, but it just kind of worked out that way. I decided to leave it here because the views of the series sadly were dropping, but also we were about to start a new series. But we are back on the mountains. If we go into free cam, this is our little cocoa bean farm. And we made this to help with our pathways because they're all made of brown concrete powder. So having extra brown dye from the cocoa beans, it really does help. But we've got it over here and then along the back as well. And there's just a lever that we pull to get it working. And that is every single build here at Ruby Hollow, our 1.20 Let's Play / lore world. We have been playing and building here for over a year. It's been one of my favourite worlds to work in, especially with the new cherry blossom wood. So back at our starter house, if you watched the series, let me know what you thought about it. And if you didn't, the whole thing is on my channel, or you can watch it in movie form. But thank you so much for coming on this Let's Play journey with me and doing something different with me with the lore and story there. I know there was only a little bit of it, but I definitely had a bit of fun with that. And with that, I will see you in the next video and the next series, or whatever that may be. So until then, bye-bye!